Welcome to the Gilead Biolab Strip Out and Demolition Project, PSCS EHS Induction. Requirements for entry to site. All staff must have the ability to read and communicate through the English language, a valid current Safe Pass card, a valid current manual handling cert, valid current CIF COVID-19 induction cert, additional training certs as required for their specific tasks such as CSCS plant cards for driving construction plant and equipment, CSCS scaffolding cards for erecting or modifying scaffolding, mobile tower scaffolding, abrasive wheels, etc. So the induction contents, we'll cover coronavirus mitigation, project mission statement, project management contacts, project scope, safety legislation and duties, incidents and accidents, reporting, first aid, site layout, site access and security, fire and emergency arrangements, PPE requirements, RAMs and permits, project-specific hazards, summary of site-specific rules, environmental awareness, pest control, and there'll be an online quiz. I'll go through the details of that with a few questions on the induction content at the end. So coronavirus mitigation, construction site is no different from any other public location, so site personnel should exercise the HSE public advice at all times, ensuring that we wash hands regularly correctly, cover sneezes and coughs at the inside of your elbow, maintain a safe distance of 2 meters from work colleagues, and stop work if you need to work within this 2 meter rule, and talk to site management to agree a way forward. If personnel have any concerns related to COVID-19 and their work, immediately contact Engage Construction Site Management. Engage Construction will advise all site staff every morning of any information updates arising from government and industry agencies as they arise. All employees consider these questions daily before signing the attendance sheet. Are you a particular vulnerability to COVID-19? Have any of your immediate family been diagnosed, or are they in self-isolation? Have you been in direct contact with anyone who's been out of the country in the last 2 weeks? Do you have any of the following symptoms? Cough, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, new loss or change to your sense of taste or smell, fatigue, aches and pains, sore throat, headache, congestion or runny nose. If the answer to any of these questions is yes, then please contact site management and don't report for work if you detect those symptoms the evening before you are due to start on site. If the answers are no, then sign the attendance sheet and proceed on to work. Personnel should keep their own PPE with them at all times, and in particular wear gloves at all times. Don't use the toilet block if they're occupied by somebody else. Adhere to the maximum number of personnel in each room. There'll be signage up at the door into each room saying how many people can occupy it. Only use canteen when you can safely maintain a separation of 2 meters. Exercise extreme care in canteen regarding your behaviour. If you're suffering from a cough, sneeze or runny nose, please do not use the canteen. Don't share your tools with anybody else. If you need to use a common tool, then wipe it down with alcohol wipes and make sure it's disinfected and sanitised before you transfer it to the next person. Where possible, travel to and from site alone. If this isn't feasible for your situation, please travel with the same person each day. So the project mission statement, we want to deliver the project with 0 accidents or incidents, have 0 impact on the Gilead facility and staff and third parties. Make sure that a safe working environment is maintained at all times, that safe working methods are executed at all times, develop a strong integrated team with an emphasis on communication. And we want to make sure it is a successful and enjoyable project for everyone involved. So the project team, the project name, as I said, is the Biolab Strip Out and Demolition. Project client is Gilead, who are often referred to as GSIUC. The designer in PSDP is Tandem Project Management. Main contractor in PSCS is Engage Construction. Contractors then would include O'Shea's Electrical and Faltech Engineering. So my name is Owen O'Shea. I'm the project manager and the PSCS rep, and that's my contact number. And site manager on site will be Mike Gainey, and his contact number is there. It'll be posted around the site also. Project scope includes the following headline elements. So in CSA demolition and strip out, we're erecting a scaffold loading bay at the western emergency escape stairs, removing all loose and fitted furniture, removing carpets and suspended ceilings, strip out internal modular partition system, demolishing MF partition walls, stripping out the raised access floor. Electrical strip out includes removal of all general and data services within the area, and they'll just be installing temporary power points for the construction phase. Mechanical strip out include strip out of HVAC ductwork, strip out removal of an AC split unit, and strip out of LPHW pipework and rads. Safety legislation, legislation related to the construction industry. The primary legislation is the Safety, Health and Welfare at Work Act 2005, Chemical Acts 08 and 10, and then in regulations we have the Construction Regs 2013 and General Application Regs 2007, and there are various other codes of practice and guidelines that will apply to our work also. So the legislation sets out duties of employers and employees. So we'll just go through them together. So every employer shall ensure, so far as reasonably practicable, the safety, health and welfare at work of all employees, the safe design and maintenance of any place of work without risk to health, the safe access and egress to and from any place of work, provision of planned, organised and maintained systems of work, provision of adequate information, instruction and training and supervision, suitable protective clothing or equipment where it's not possible to eliminate a hazard, adequate plans regarding emergencies, prevention of ill health or harm from any article or substance, services of a competent person and adequate welfare facilities. As PSCS, Engaged Construction must coordinate the identification, elimination and reduction of risks through construction, prepare and communicate a construction stage health and safety plan, coordinate the implementation of construction regs by contractors, organise cooperation between contractors, coordinate the reporting of accidents to the HSA, coordinate the checking of safe working procedures, coordinate measures to restrict entry onto the site, provision and maintenance of welfare facilities, coordinate arrangements to ensure that workers have safe pass and construction skills cards as required for their particular engagement on site. Coordinate the appointment of a site safety rep where there's more than 20 people on site. Provide unnecessary safety file information to the PSDP. Monitor the compliance of contractors and others and take corrective action where necessary. Notify the authority and the client of non-compliances where with any written directions issued. As employees, then the whole lot of us must take reasonable care for our own safety and that of any other person, not to be under the influence of an intoxicant at the place of work, to cooperate with the employer and PSCS in relation to health and safety, attend training in respect to health and safety at work, use protective equipment or clothing in the appropriate manner, not to interfere with, misuse or damage anything provided for securing health and safety of persons at work, not to engage in inappropriate behaviour or horseplay, and the last one's the most important, to report to their employer or supervisor without delay any defect in plant, equipment, place, systems of work which may endanger health and safety. So basically if you see anything that looks that it's wrong or unsafe, report it immediately so that we can sort it out. Near misses, incidents and accidents is a bit more on reporting. So the legislation defines an unsafe condition, which is shown in the picture 1 there, an unsatisfactory physical condition which could lead to an incident, accident or near miss taking place. So in our picture example there, it's a dodgy shackle holding the slung load. An unsafe act is an activity undertaken exposing people to excessive risk. So in picture 2 example there is the 2 lads walking in underneath the load. Near miss is a event or condition which under different circumstances could have resulted in an incident or an accident. So the load falls and misses the 2 boys, that's a near miss. An incident is an unplanned or undesired action that causes damage to the facility, plant or equipment. So the load falls and damages the contents of the load but doesn't cause an injury, is an incident. An accident is any work-related event that gives rise to an injury requiring first aid, medical treatment and or ill health. So in our picture examples there, the load falls and hit the boys underneath. So everyone must report immediately all hazardous conditions, near misses, incidents and accidents to the PSCS, who would be in the first instance Michael Gainey, so that we can deal with it. And if you require medical treatment, inform your first aider immediately. So a full list of first aiders on site along with their contact details will be up at the project whiteboard and the site office canteen. First aid boxes will be available at the project whiteboard up in the site and also in the site office canteen. Note that there's an AED in Gilead. There's a couple of AEDs in Gilead, but the one that's closest to our project is available there at the Gilead reception if somebody is having a heart issue. So this is a picture of the site. Many of you will be familiar with Gilead. So just starting from the right hand side there, just north of the roundabout, that's where we drive in and out of the site at the security gate there. So you'll need a swipe card to get in past security. I'll talk a little bit about that in a few slides time. Follow the yellow arrows around the back of the North Road. Park up in the contractor's car park. It's reverse parking only. So park up your car and then walk to the northmost red box there, which is the security hut, and there's swipe points there. I'll go through that in a minute. Our office's canteen and welfare is at, as shown there, in the contractor's yard. the smoking hut for those that smoke is the only place where contractors are allowed to smoke on site, is inside in the lowest of the red boxes there. And the purple line then is the pedestrian route to get up and down from the welfare to the construction site. So the biolab then is down next to the blue box at the bottom of that picture there. So there's an emergency escape stairs, and that'll be our primary construction access and egress point, and we'll have a scaffold loading platform built off of that for materials loading and unloading. So access security. So following this induction, visitors, contractors must check in at Gilead reception and receive an access card. All visitors must be notified at least a day in advance to us so that we can then arrange for the cards to be ready for you. Otherwise you'll be waiting potentially a long time at reception waiting for an access card. Keep your access card with you at all times. Access cards are non-transferable, and report lost or stolen cards immediately. So this induction only allows you to access the construction site, the contractor's compound, or the contractor's car park. Access to the Gilead facility is not permitted without first completing a full Gilead EHS induction. And if you need this, we can arrange it. They're generally on a Monday morning at 8 o'clock. So we need prior notice to get you booked in if you do need to access areas outside of the work areas associated with this project. So adhere to no entry signs placed around the construction site. So we'll have no entry signs showing the extent of our permitted access, and nobody's to stray beyond those without having the full Gilead EHS completed beforehand. So in terms of swiping in and out, to register as being on site, ensure your card is swiped at the swipe in access control reader located in the security hut. So that was the first hut I mentioned there next to the contractor's car park. Always swipe out then via the access control reader when you're leaving the site. Even if you're going away for a cup of tea at lunchtime, make sure that you swipe out and swipe back in again as you return to site, regardless of how long you're going off site for. Report to Gilead Security then at the end of your last day on site. You can hold on to your access card if you're here for successive days, but when you finish your last shift and you're leaving site, make sure you give your access card back to security up at the front gate. In the event of an emergency evacuation, all visitors and contractors must swipe their card at one of the muster stations located at the front of the site. So I'll go through that in a minute. So just the photograph there at the bottom right, they're the core access read points. So your card will be swiped. There's two of them in the security hut near the car park. One of them is marked as a swipe in point, and the second one is marked as a swipe out point. So obviously use them accordingly. So fire and emergency arrangements. So this will be in the quiz. The fire alarm is tested every Thursday between 12 and 12:30. So the test involves the activation of all fire alarm sounders for approximately 2 minutes on site. Always evacuate if you hear the alarm outside of this time. Extinguishers are located up in the whiteboard, and they're also in the canteen. Extinguishers empty in a short time, so it's dangerous to fight a fire that is spreading. There are fire break glass units also available up on the biolab floor in the event that you need to raise the alarm. If you find yourself using an extinguisher, pull the pin, aim the nozzle at the base of the flame, squeeze the trigger and sweep from side to side. But only use an extinguisher when you're competent and it's safe use. There's a clear exit route, and at no time is there any risk being posed to your health and well-being. In the event of a fire, a large chemical leak or a gas leak, make your job at hand safe and evacuate, and raise the alarm if it hasn't already been raised using the nearest break glass unit. Keep calm and don't run. Don't use the lifts. To avoid smoke and fumes, stoop low or crawl. Evacuate the building via the nearest emergency exit route. When exiting, close the doors behind you to prevent the spread of fire and smoke. Proceed carefully to the front of the site. Go to one of the emergency muster stations and swipe your access card, and then report to Assembly Point G, which again is in the quiz later on. So it's Assembly Point G that we report to, and you wait there until you're given the all clear or further instruction. So these are the muster stations. They're up in the front car park, which is a Gilead employee car park. So you don't swipe your card at any of the core swipes. You just get your card and yourself out to the front car park and swipe at the muster station. Wait for it to beep to tell you that you've been successfully registered as being evacuated. Report to Assembly Point G. Give your name to the roll call officer. Await further instruction. Don't re-enter the building until the all clear has been given. Following the all clear, re-enter the site via the western the emergency escape stairs, and don't swipe back into the core as you come back in after an evacuation. So minimum PPE again will feature in the quiz. So we've 6 points of PPE now thanks to the COVID, that being hard hat, glasses, gloves, vest, boots and a COVID-19 face mask. So it's only surgical, the blue and white disposable surgical masks that Gilead permit on site. So we'll have a box of them available. If you can't bring them with you, we'll try and bring them with you, please. Additional PPE then would be as required by your approved RAMs. So additional PPE like maybe a higher level of eye protection or hearing protection if you're doing hot or noisy works. So RAMs and permits to work. Engaged constructionists, PSCS have been assigned responsibility for the safety management of all activities to be undertaken within our works area. Control of these activities will use the Gilead RAMs template and the permit to work forms. All works undertaken outside of this area will be controlled by Gilead Engineering Department as per usual site procedure. So the main area on our job, there's kind of 2 areas. The main one is inside the electrical switch room. O'Shea's Electrical will be stripping out existing data and general services that will have to be permitted by Gilead direct rather than through Engage. And Faltech will be working up on the roof on the AC condenser that's up there, and that similarly will have to be permitted through Gilead. All works which involve existing Gilead systems will be controlled by Engineering Department. So if you are working on live systems internally within our work area, then that's a Gilead permit also. So that's just a picture of our site. So it's the first floor of the QC Lab Extension building. We're working in we have control rather in the area that's shown in the red perimeter there. The electrical switch room, as I said, falls outside of our area, so that is permitted by Gilead. We'll access via the existing emergency stairs then, which is shown in the purple box, and we'll have a loading bay platform then within the blue box there west of that again. So method statements, risk assessments are required from all contractors to cover activities to be undertaken on site. RAMs for activities located within the PSCS are to be submitted to Engage Construction for our review at least 1 week prior to the scheduled commencement of activity for our review and approval. RAMs for activities located outside the PSCS area are to be submitted to Engage Construction for our review and forward on to Gilead for their review. And I'd want to be budgeting 2 weeks for that by the time it goes around to the various approvers inside in Gilead. So the RAMs will demonstrate and record that the contractor has considered the identification of hazards, assessment of the risks posed by those hazards, determining and implementing the controls proposed then to mitigate those risks. So once approved, all staff engaged with the activity must read and understand the contents of their RAMs, adhere to the various controls measured, described at all times. So permits are required before the commencement of all work. Under no circumstances of any work of any kind to take place without checking the need for a permit. Permits will be only issued when safe procedures have been defined through approval of the RAMs and when the surrounding environment is deemed to be safe and ready for the work to proceed. Permits are to be opened before activity commences and closed upon completion of each task day. So look, that's just a picture of the Gilead permit to work form that we'll be using. We'll go through it with you. I'd say most of you will be familiar with using it anyway. And as many of you know, it's kind of fresh for a week, Monday to Sunday. So if you start an activity during the week, you can use that same permit then to open and close it to the following Sunday, and it'll require a fresh permit then starting the subsequent Monday. Project specific hazards. So the following hazards have been identified in the project: workgate height, electrical safety, hot works and coordination multiple adjacent activities. So workgate height, scaffolding required to form loading bay at the western emergency escape stairs. Scaffolding will be erected by a suitable trained and competent contractor. Weekly inspections will be completed to ensure that it is retained safe through its period of use. No modifications or alterations allowed to the scaffolding by anybody other than ticketed scaffolders. Podium ladders are the only ladders allowed on site. 3 points contact to be maintained when you're climbing the ladder rungs, either up or down to the platform. Guardrails to be securely closed at all times when you're standing up on the platform. If access is unavailable for a podium, then specific risk assessment to be completed to use a straight or an A-frame ladder. We obviously need CSCS cards for erection of mobile towers, and a register of all workgate height equipment will be maintained by us in the site safety file with the checks completed and returned to us then for filing. Electrical safety. Electricity can injure or cool without warning. A lockout tagout system is in place per Gilead site procedure. and O'Shea's Electrical will operate that lockout tagout system. If you have any doubt at all about a system, then please ask us before you start your work. Only 110 volt portable tools or battery powered tools are permitted on site. There's temporary power points will be allowed, and temporary power is to be only connected to those designated points. All electrical work will be carried out in compliance with electrical standards, and only authorised, competent, certified electricians are permitted to work on electrical equipment and systems. Hot works require completion of a hot work section of the Gilead permit form. So that will define Class 1 and Class 2 hot works. Class 1 is where there's a naked flame or spark present. Class 2 then is a heat source that has the potential to create a fire hazard. And controls would include clearing the area of combustible materials, fire extinguishers to be kept on hand, fire blanket to be kept in hand, an attendant fire watch to be attending at all times, and a 1 hour walk down and completion of the work, and gas monitoring if required. So we'll make sure the smoke heads are isolated before any hot works start. So we need to coordinate that through the site manager. Coordination of multiple adjacent activities. So interaction with adjacent Gilead facility users, clear pedestrian plant movement routes defined in this traffic management plan. Multiple discipline teams will be working together in constrained space. There's potential for hazards if an area is not coordinated adequately. We'll have a gather up every morning just to go through who's doing what in the area and make sure that we've no clashes on site. And communication is key. If things change over the course of the day, then just have a chat with us and we'll sort it out together. Environmental awareness. All chemicals require prior approval before they come to site. They must be stored in approved containers and bundled stores. Ensure mobile plant containing chemicals has a double skin tank and use drip trays for filling. Report all spillages immediately. Never pour materials or liquids down any drains. All waste bins must be labelled with company logo. Bins should be emptied daily. Segregate all waste into the appropriate waste skip, and we'll have construction skips up in the contractor site compound. So there's a clean as you go policy in place on site, which is I suppose particularly applicable here given the scope of this project being demolition and strip out will be generating a good lot of waste material. Everyone's responsible for the removal of their own waste. So again, everyone is cleaning, which is a quiz question later on. Everyone's cleaning up their own waste rather than relying on anybody else to do it. Keep evacuation routes clear from material or debris. Don't block emergency exits of materials or equipment. Don't leave objects sticking out into walkways. Clean up spills immediately. If there's rubbish on the floor, pick it up. Store blades and sharp tools in a proper manner. Pest control. So Gilead factory manufactures drugs for oral consumption. Pest control is critical for their continuing operation. Pests include crawling and flying insects and rodents. Ensure that all access doors, both internal and external, are kept closed at all times. And no matter how small it is, if it is a dead spider or dead fly, report it so that we can report it on to the appropriate person there in Gilead. So summary of rules. Make sure you have a permit and RAMs before you start your work. Wear your PPE at all times once you cross over the PPE line entering the site. Observe all safety notices and signs on site. Report without delay anything that looks unsafe. Report all near misses, incidents and accidents. Know your escape route. Always look for the nearest emergency exit sign. Always swipe in and out of the access control system. Adhere to a 15k site speed limit. Maintain good personal hygiene. Never fight a fire unless it's safe to do so. Don't be abusive or offensive to your colleagues. Don't smoke outside the designated smoking hut area. Don't eat or drink outside the canteen. Park vehicles. Don't park your vehicles in the Gilead staff car park areas. Don't work alone. Don't tamper with safety devices. Don't wear jewellery which may present a hazard when working with tools or machinery. Don't walk outside the designated pedestrian walkways, and don't leave your access card in the car, canteen or drawing room. Keep it with you at all times. So that's it. That's the induction. There's an online quiz. You'll see the link in the comments field underneath this video. We'll need to get everybody to complete the quiz, upload their training via the quiz portal, and we'll review and approve that then before lads come to site, so that there'll be an access card ready for you to collect. Thank you.